everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking with Josh and DLO from Covenant Worship today about making a live worship album. So if you've ever had questions about, what it takes, the whole process, this is a great opportunity to ask questions in the chat room if you're watching us live and interact with us. We'd love to answer any questions that you guys have about that. And we'll specifically talk about Take Heart, which is a brand new album coming out from Covenant Worship this Friday. So in 2 days. Woohoo! That's exciting.
Yeah.
So close.
Take Heart.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
That's for Take Heart.
I got your Take Heart right here.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, yes.
Little album cover. It's all
It's a cool
backwards.
album cover.
Yeah, I did it on my phone.
So maybe start off by telling us what your role is at Covenant Worship.
Go ahead,
Whoever.
Josh.
Hey, guys. I'm Josh Dufrene and worship leader at Covenant under Pastors Dave and Nicole Binion, our worship pastors there. And just kind of been assisting them for the past 7-8 years, just, helping with whatever needs to be done, and writing songs and leading services and living the dream. So,
My turn.
and
That was good.
have a wife and 2 beautiful boys, wife named Sabre, and then I have 2 boys, 5 and 2, named Riley and Wyatt, and they pretty much run my life. So,
That was very well said, Josh.
thank you, friend.
I appreciate you
Passing it to this guy.
Thanks, buddy.
Is
Thanks,
it this? Is
Can they see the split screen?
yeah? Are you bottom right on yours as well?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
That's cool, dude. Stop it, man. Okay, so my name is Daniel Lopez. All my friends call me DLO. Where did I get the nickname? Great question. I'm glad you asked. A long time ago, when I was in high school, everyone just started calling me DLO. I think it's from some lady who sings. Her name is Jennifer Lopez. So it's not real original, but it's what people call me. But my role at the church, well, I am I'm there to serve everyone, and I enjoy it. And I've been there for, I want to say I've been there since 93 years. So I always tell people I was grandfathered into the music program there.
Mm-hmm.
But I recently I've kind of played more of like a pseudo music director guy, and I play the drums there, and so have the privilege of tracking all the albums and getting to hang out with these guys and kind of arrange some songs and stuff like that. So it's an absolute honor to be there at the church and serve with some of my closest friends on the planet, and a complete pleasure. So,
Awesome. Great. And can one of you guys tell us a little bit about Covenant Worship, just for people who aren't familiar?
Sure. Covenant Worship. I don't know how to look down. It's easy to look down. So, Covenant Worship is the name of our team. Obviously, there at Covenant Church in Carrollton, Texas, and we've been just a little bit about what we do. Our worship leaders, David, Nicole Binion, Nathan Walker, one of our worship leaders. Colin Edge is another one of our worship leaders, my brother-in-law, at our McKinney campus. And that's, we just love this team, love getting to do life with these guys. And started, when did we do the Heaven on Earth?
it's probably 2009, I think, something like that.
Okay, so we've been, when Dave and Nicole first came, he and I just started writing together, and just for fun, really. And the first song we actually wrote together was called Heaven on Earth, and so we wrote a few more and decided to record that first Heaven on Earth record in '09. And then just saw just a great chemistry develop amongst the whole team, and just God has really just done the rest, man. We've just seen incredible things happening with our crew, so we're excited to be used.
Awesome. Well, I thought it'd be great for you guys to talk about this new album coming out Friday, Take Heart, and just kind of like walk us through the process of actually recording a live album, and maybe start off with why did you guys decide to do a live album versus a studio album?
Okay, me. Well, I'll kind of tackle the live versus studio. I think for us, we studio is always great. I think we've done. Actually, I don't know if we've done like a Cov Worship studio thing yet. We've done some like acoustic videos and stuff like that, but we seem to thrive and capture the magic, if you will, of CD making or audio recording in the live setting. And so we feed off the energy in the room, and we're always prepared and have a plan, but the live album always seems to just have a little more juice to it, and you just really never know what's going to happen in the moment, and especially with incredible leaders like David, Nicole, and Josh, and Nate, Colin. These guys will just take a quick left turn, and we'll all just go there with them, and so it's fun to see those intangible kind of textures, if you will, in the live setting versus kind of the studio setting. Josh?
Yeah, there's definitely something special that happens when we all sing together. We get our church just has a very strong culture of worship, and we get everybody in there lifting up the name of Jesus as loud as possible and just tearing the roof off the place. And there's just something that happens in the atmosphere that comes across on the recording that's just difficult to recreate in a studio environment. So for us, that's I know people make it work in the studio and well, but for us, we love just the spontaneity of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say if you had to choose one thing, like what's the best part about creating that live worship album?
Ooh, best part. That's a tough question. I mean, there's nothing like being in the moment when you actually tracking the night of the recording. We host a conference in the fall, and so we decided to use those nights to track each night. So we actually tracked for 3 nights in a row and made the third night kind of like the major. This is kind of the top to bottom type night. So, you get excited for each of those nights. But Friday comes around and it's like, okay, this one's kind of like for all the cookies in the cookie jar, if you will. And that for me is kind of the most exciting part about the recording process is actually the act of just capturing what happens in the moment, because that's what in essence is the whole thing's about, the moment. And being able to capture that moment and then repackage it and send it out so that people can enjoy that moment with you.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I love, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, I remember with this project specifically just being so ready to release it from day one. Like we're in pre-production and just wanting to get this stuff out there and share it with the world. So I'm really excited that we're finally to that point. And a lot of work, a lot of prayer, a lot of preparation gone into this from a lot of people. And so it's, finally putting it out there is a special thing for me.
Cool. Yeah, and there's a good question in the chat about overdubs, but I want to kind of like walk us through the journey of like recording this live album, because first you need songs.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have songs, you need songwriters. So how did you guys and when did you guys start writing for this album?
Well, when Kingdom was 2014, the Kingdom album a couple years ago, and I think immediately, after the Kingdom album released, we did a little tour. We spent the summer touring that record, and then as soon as the school year started back up, we knew we had to put another record out eventually. So we try to keep a disciplined routine of writing once a week. Every Tuesday or Wednesday, we get to the office, or David and I will meet at one another's house and just sit and write. Whether we come up with anything, whether we don't, it's the discipline of writing that just makes you better. And so, I agree, Wisdom. I mean, it all starts with the songs. If you don't get that part right, everything else is just a struggle. And a good, a well-written song will sort of produce and mix itself in a lot of ways.
So how many songs did you guys have when you were basically planning on this album to pick from?
Seems like we had about 22, 23. Yeah, I mean, we had a good amount, and it was really tough to whittle that list down to 80 minutes on a CD, and we still wanted to leave time for a real worship moment on the CD, which we did. Which if you take that into consideration, you've got 65 minutes just of your songs, and then your worship moment, you're at 75 or so. So that was important to us to have that just free flow. There's a segment of audio on there called the How Great Reprise. That's just a beautiful live moment that isn't heavily overdubbed. It's a really special part of this record. So about 25, what we started with. We had to when we're making those decisions, I'll say, we had a lot of up tempos on this record, and it's a good thing. It's we tried to really.
You can never have enough up-tempo worship songs.
As a worship leader, when you're planning a set list for a Sunday, those are all slot 1 and slot 2 are always
the hardest to find.
Yeah. So we tried to cover that, and then just picking. Do we have too many 6/8 songs? Do we have this mid-tempo area covered? Do we? You just have to look at it big picture. So I feel like we landed at a good spot.
I saw a good question over here. It says Colson_music. Are all 22 of those songs in rotation in your services, or do you only utilize the songs from the album? So I guess we only utilize the ones from the album, right? I mean, sometimes we test a few out, and if they tank, or if they're just not if it's just, not really grabbing wind, then, we'll kind of just gently remove it and put it to the side and save it for another day.
Yeah. Lately, those are the ones that end up getting the most production, the most attention, and in the creative stages. And so we tend to focus on those more in our live services.
Cool. So you basically go through the process of picking out the songs that you want to record, and then what's the next step after that?
The next step, I think, is probably what we like to call workshop. And so what we'll do often is we'll do like a light demo of sorts. And however, the demos for this project, for this takeoff project, I felt like we're pretty extensive. They were very involved, considering how we've done them in the past. But typically, we'll do like just a light demo or a scratch track, if you will, an acoustic guitar with the lead vocal on it, or a piano with the vocal on it, and then we'll present it to our guys. We'll bring it out, and we'll kind of have a roadmap, a semi-roadmap, indicating, intro, verse, chorus, whatever section of the song would come up next. And then we'll get into our room with our guys, everyone on their instruments, with our main core band, and we just kind of just start chipping away. And we leave room for everyone to kind of explore each section of the song from their vantage point. Bass player, play whatever comes naturally to you. We want to hear what everyone's kind of natural tendencies are going to be on this tune, because for us that's seemed to work really well. And then we can tweak from there. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, as your question was about just workshopping it with the band, or where we take it after the writing stage. Yeah. Yeah, having players that think like producers is a big key. There was a time when DLO and I felt the pressure to just tell everybody what to play, and it's just hard. It's difficult, and we talked to our band before we started on this one, and DLO told the guys, everybody put your producer hat on, and let's make this thing great. And so it really helped. Everybody took their creative liberty, not too much, and just made a great contribution to the. And DLO, help me here, but a lot of times with each song, there will be a point of reference. Like we're not just shooting in the dark. Like there was a song on this album called Motivation. I think it's track three, yeah. That we had trouble just finding a clear direction on it. We didn't know whether to go like wake, alive, young and free type thing on it, or slow it down a little bit, kind of a strong mid-tempo. And so we just kind of had to stop in rehearsal, and I remember us deciding to reference a particular song from a movie soundtrack. It's like an 80s soundtrack. And I told the guys, let's think like this. And DLO was like, yes, let's do that. So he drops this groove on the drums. Bass player falls right in on the 16th. And then everybody just sort of exhaled that the song was going to be okay, because we were really wondering where it was going to land. So I think providing a clear reference point for each song is a key too, to help your band get a vision for what you're going for. Because I've failed to do that before, and everybody goes their own way, and you just end up with a whole different animal. So
yeah, totally. He's completely right. It's always a point of reference. That way you're not shooting in the dark, and it's just easier just kind of to have a nice jumping off point from, and everyone's kind of on the same page, and then you can tweak from there. And but going back to the writing, that the writing process, I suppose, is one thing I love about our crew of writers, is that every song is inspired like from a scripture or from an instance in the Bible that has some type of core quality and belief to what we believe as followers of Christ. And I love that we integrate scripture into what we're doing every day, because that's what our day-to-day living is all about. Is can we utilize the scriptures that we have, and can we apply them in our daily walk? And so every resource we can put in our own hands, personally, and for everyone else is a win. And so that I think also feeds into the workshop process, because you have these lyrics that are just straight from the heart and straight from the red letters, if you will. And so that allows our guys to kind of be able to think from that vantage point and incorporate those emotions from the scriptures into what they're playing for each section of the song.
That's great.
Absolutely.
So after you've written them and then you've kind of road mapped them out and your band has gotten a feel for them, what do you do next after that?
Well, that's typically when, once we've got a clear direction, everything is somewhat rehearsed. DLO and I will hit the studio and start to generate Pro Tools sessions for each song. Click tracks, tempo maps, put everything on the grid. Vocal cues, chorus 2, chorus 2, 3, 4, just so during the night of the recording, everybody's not trying to remember every little hit and every little push. We've got all of that just slated in Pro Tools, and the band's going to hear it in the talkback. So just getting everything locked down in the pre-production, and then that also gives us the ability to pre-record anything that's going to help sell the song the night of the recording. So stomps, claps, some gang vocals, whatever you need to do, some synth lines to really beef up the songs for the live recording, because I used to not be too concerned with that type of thing, how it went over the night of, because we can always do that post-production. But one of the things I've learned is that it really does make a difference to do that stuff ahead of time.
I think it's a practical thing in respect to the more like ways you can set yourself up for success, you should do it.
Right.
And so they're real practical things that help make the night feel cohesive. Right. And really just kind of take every drop of juice out of that piece of gum, if I can use that as an example. And so, being able to go in and, make these vocal cues and just extra little audio elements that help us kind of convey the heart behind the song is definitely a win.
Yeah. Pre-production. Anything you can do ahead of time that's going to save you work on the back end, just do it. That's crucial.
One of the questions a while ago in chat that Matt asked is, do you work with an outside producer during the process?
Israel was heavily involved in the Kingdom record, and in the writing of this one, he did a lot of writing with us, and came in for a couple of days to oversee, just to check in on us, basically see how we were doing, make sure everything was going smooth. And so he's definitely been a help and been a great friend. DLO and I, from a music standpoint, ended up working together a lot on the musical side of this one, and just really had a good time. Really, DLO and I have been playing together since '06 and are great friends, and so we kind of are in each other's head at this point when we make music. So, and then of course, Pastor David Binion will typically be in charge of vocal production, and so he oversees the harmonies and the parts, and checking all that out and making sure that our vocal parts are solid, because that's important. A lot of people struggle with just part vocal arrangements, and so he keeps us on track there. So.
And do you remember how many vocalists you had on this project?
Well, we have all of our Carrollton campus worship leaders, and then Call and Edge. So, vocalists, period. What did we have? 12. We probably had 12 background vocals the night of.
Wow.
And then 5 or 6 leaders down front, and all supplemented by, we had our entire frontline vocal team help us record the gang vocals ahead of time. So we had all of that extra vocal support behind there as well. So we had a lot going on vocally. So the congregation was able to pick right up the night of.
So the 12 people that are singing backup vocals, are they mic'd individually or as a group?
Individually, just wired 58s. I'm such a big fan of 58s. It's ridiculous. With just isolation and just not picking up a bunch of stage noise. We had everybody on their own dynamic mic, and it worked out great for us. So.
I'm surprised you're not using one right now.
Yeah.
That's a mini version of 58.
Yeah, this is actually a Shure earbud.
It's a prototype. He knows.
Man, I'm serious. We do these recordings on these Sennheiser Neumann wireless mics, and I mean they're great, but I'm like, just give me a wired 58. I'll be good to go. I'm rambling.
Another question from Matt. He said, "Did you feed the gang vocals into the venue live to help fill out the sound?"
Yes. Yeah, that would be one of the main purposes of that, was to help fill the venue.
So I guess something you guys can talk about is, like, besides the vocalists, who all else was on stage? How many guitarists? Things like that.
Go ahead, DLO.
Yeah, we had 2 guitar players, 2 electric players, and then I want to say we had 3 acoustics, maybe, drums, bass, 2 aux players, organ player. We only had 2 acoustics, I'm being told, from our front of house engineer, who's on this ski trip with me. And so, yeah, how much of that is actually captured and kept? That's a great question. Believe it or not, we did use quite a bit of some of the guitars, the electrics at least. All the acoustics we went back and redid.
Except for mine.
Right, but
It was flawless.
we didn't redo any adjustments. We just turned the volume down a ton. That's great in the mix.
Yeah. Way in the back, on the left.
Yeah, back on the left side of the spectrum. No, and so, the crew of guys that we get to play with week in and week out, we're so blessed to just have guys who are really, really talented. And so these guys just throw down monster tracks. And yeah, we went back and polished up some stuff for sure. It's just kind of part of the nature of the beast, I guess.
Now you guys have to be really, really careful what you say, because Nicole Binion's actually watching you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So you need to say every song she sings, she sounds like an angel.
Yeah, "Beautiful" is probably my favorite song on the track.
Well, welcome, Nicole. Good to see you from the Holy Land.
Yeah. John asks, is the purpose of the album for your church or for getting your music out beyond the church?
Oh, the purpose of this album, obviously both. We want to impact our local church, and it's a beautiful thing as writers to be able to give voice to help people express worship, how they feel. And we try at the same time, to make these arrangements simple enough to where just your average church would be able to pick these songs up and do them on a Sunday. So we've always desired to be a resource for other churches as well. That's what it's all about, really, is just getting outside the 4 walls of our church.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could piggyback on that, one thing I love about our worship pastors, David and Nicole, is that they have a heart for the people immediately in front of them that they see week in and week out. But that same heart also goes, another level further than that. And so they've helped us see, beyond the measures of the 4 walls of our church, because the gospel says to go out and make disciples of all nations, and this is just another avenue to do that, and you always want to be able to, that was so loud. You always want to be able to grab the people that are closest to you and be able to pour into them, and vice versa, but if the Lord opens up doors for our team to do other things, that's great too, And so, but for me and our team, I love that we have the heart of the local church is like the foundation of what our music is about. And then, if the Lord decides to take it out and do other things with it, which he has, and we are absolutely grateful for, then that's awesome too,
Sorry.
So, are you jogging in your house?
I'm plugging in my charger here.
He's running on the treadmill to the new Take Heart album.
Yes.
So
Definitely do that.
during the actual, night of the recording, do you guys record it in the same order as the track list on the CD, or did it change?
Yeah, I think we recorded in the same vibe. Josh?
Same order. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, same track order.
What? I mean, I don't know if you said you sometimes introduce these songs before, but what, in your mind, happens if you introduce a song during the night of the recording and there's like no response, no feedback? Like, what do you do in that?
That's a risk we don't take. We introduce all of these songs well in advance.
Okay, that's good to know.
A lot of these songs we're singing a year in advance.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Like you have one, and there are several songs on here that are just older songs that we've been singing for a long time. So we make
one thing I did. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing I love about the track listing on this album is that it's kind of split up into two kind of lengthier worship sets, if you will. And so, which is really incredible because I think it's about like 6 or 7 on both sides, if you will.
Yeah.
And I love that David had the kind of the vision for that as a big picture to say, hey, let's put 2 kind of mega worship sets together, so for people to hear. So when you're listening back to the album, it's kind of feeling like you're ramping up. And then you're kind of
you're in the flow of a natural worship night,
right? And then you ramp up again in another worship. So it's really, really cool. And so there was just a lot of intentionality from lyrics to production to even just how is the set list going to be for the track listing for the album. And so anytime you plan to do something the right way, you're just better off for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And what I like about like what you guys are talking about is we know that all these songs really worked well in your church, so there's a greater chance of the songs working in other people's churches versus a brand new worship song that was recorded in a studio that's never been
right, which is another reason you want to make sure you introduce everything far in advance.
Yeah.
Because if something's not working, you want to know, and you want to know why, and you want to be able to make tweaks and adjustments. Sometimes it just takes time for a song to catch on, and sometimes you need to revisit it and see if you've got it in the wrong key or something.
Yeah.
Again, going back to a point we made earlier, the local church being the strength of our music, and so in our efforts to create, they help create with us, and so we feed a lot off of our church family, and I love that they embrace that our church embraces that type of culture.
Yeah,
awesome. So at the end of the night, after you guys record everything and shut everything off, you basically like put the WAV files and start stamping the CDs and then release it, right?
Yeah, straight to TuneCore at that point.
TuneCore.
That's actually,
like you give it out that night, right?
Yeah, it's just a front of house mix, and we send it.
That's actually a running joke amongst our crew. Somebody will just totally just mess up a chord or something, and everybody will turn and be like, "All right, TuneCore, we good?"
Straight to iTunes.
Yeah, so that's when the work begins. Once you finish
walk us through that.
It's bittersweet. It's like, yay, we're done with the live recording, but now we get to start working on the live recording. No, it's just it's a lot of fun. So for this album, DLO, chime in here anytime. We pretty much went back and we drilled down on every single instrument except for the drums. I think the drums are about the only thing we didn't touch the live performance of. We were very picky about our bass lines about our guitars, rhythm and lead, acoustic, all of our keyboard parts. We went back and we drilled down on everything and made sure it was working together. I found that a lot of players, it's just natural, but a lot of people tend to overplay just as they get caught up in the excitement of the night. When you got a packed house and people are going crazy, you know, and you can get so excited that you tend to overplay a little bit and maybe do a little too much in places, and it feels good in the moment, but in context of everything else, after you're listening back later on, you know, a lot of times we have to go in and just kind of put things back in the pocket, simplify here and there, and it helps serve the song a little better.
Yeah.
DLO?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Josh is 100% right. It's kind of bittersweet after you finish, but the live recording night. But the reality is the kind of post-production process is really kind of fun for me, and it's exciting because you get to pull on some strings from your guys that they didn't know that was there and available for them to be pulled on. And so it's cool to see them grow in that capacity in the studio and doing overdubs and stuff. But, you know, oftentimes too, it's just there's parts and things that happen in the moment of the overdub process that, you know, maybe we didn't have a chance to think of before the night of the recording. And so it really just allows us to put our best foot forward in regards to production and making sure everything's recorded correctly. But, you know, my hat is off to our incredible audio staff at our church who accommodate us, and they accommodate us with all our crazy requests.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do what we do without them. Sure.
Absolutely. DLO, I will mention, was just for this record specifically, just a key factor in the overdub process. We know each other well enough. He knows me, and I know him, and he knows that if he doesn't watch me, I'll start cutting corners here and there. And so he was he was on me for this record, and we were just part, like I said, and so props.
Yeah, it's just back to like being intentional. You know, every part of the process just has to be intentional. And it's something that was said in one of our production meetings that really just stuck with me was, you know, anytime you go into the process of making an album, you have to view it from, this is the project that's going to change everything.
Yeah.
This is the one and so if you start with that type of mentality and attitude, not a boastful mentality, but it's more of a challenge.
You want to be proud of it when you're done. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. This album's going to live on forever, long after I'm gone, you know? And so, it's just being intentional makes a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah. And especially because of the songs that you're writing. I mean, you're sharing the message of Christ. So it's a pretty big deal to have it in a recording for all to hear. And so you want to do it well. You want to do it in a way that connects with people. So, yeah, it's awesome.
I'm seeing this question here. So, yeah, we actually in the past have recorded. We've used Danny Duncan. A lot of people know Vanguard Recording, his company. And we've used him in the past, and he'll bring in his whole crew with, you know, the truck and all the his whole separate Pro Tools rig and isolate in a different room and all of that. We've done that. That's it. That's a little pricey and a lot of work. And for this album, we are equipped in our sanctuary with the DigiDesign venue consoles. So we were actually able, you know, just go direct out of that to Pro Tools at front of house. So it simplified the whole process. So we just flew Danny in just to oversee our equipment, and that's how we recorded this particular album.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure there's tons of more questions, but we are running out of time. But I do want to let everybody know we actually have chord charts for all 13 songs from the project available on our website to download. So I'm going to paste the link here, but it's basically bit.ly Take Heart Charts. So that will be directing you to weareworship.com. So you can download all the chord charts for free from the project. And Friday, be sure to find the album on iTunes, tell people about it. And what do you guys hope that people take away from this album, Take Heart?
Go ahead, DLO.
Yeah, for me, you know, I think it's right there in the title of the album. You know, Take Heart. It's just be encouraged. You know, we're in a time where, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the air, even, you know, concerning our nation here in the U.S. You know, we're going through a big election process right now, and so there's just a lot of uncertainty of the future, and, you know, even on a smaller level, just from the day-to-day living with your families, and, you know, all that stuff that implied. It's good to know that there's people out there on your side that are encouraging you to not give up. And I want, when people put the earbuds on or blast this in their car, I want them to have the same feeling that I have every time I listen to these songs. And I've listened to these songs probably over 300 or 400 times by now.
Wow.
And I'm still amped about the project. And you know, each song really does tell its own story, and really has its own form of encouraging you and challenging you to take heart. Yeah. And so that for me is one of the things I would love for people to take away, is just after they finish listening to whatever song they're listening to, that it just be incredible experience for them, and that they feel inspired to go out and take on whatever that day has for them. You know, whether if it's you know, a mom of 3 and, you know, being an incredible mom, then great, do it. If you're a businessman, get your business on. You know, do your best, and I hope we can play a small part in allowing your encouragement to be heightened for that.
Yeah, I want to read this. You know, this was really the heart of the record. John 16:33. I have told you all of this so that you may have peace in me. And then Jesus says, here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. So that's, you know, that's what it's all about. We're seeing Christians persecuted all around the world every day. And in that, you know, sometimes it can get you down, and sometimes you can start to just get discouraged. But, you know, we just want to bring encouragement to everyone that hears this album.
So awesome.
That's great.
Be sure to find them on all the social media platforms, Covenant Worship, Cov Worship, on a lot of those platforms. And Josh, thank you so much for joining us, even though you're just coming out of a flu.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I've been hacking and coughing all the way through this thing. So.
No problem.
I would like to say that we had to tweak Tom 3 a lot in the process, so I digress.
DLO, thank you for taking a break from your skiing and joining us for this lab.
DLO, put your goggles back on for us.
All right.
People need to see this. There he is.
Listen, here's the deal. We're going to hang up here in a few minutes, and I'm going to go hit the slopes again. So.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Wish
we could be there with you, but you'll have to suffer alone.
Oh, I know. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'll
take heart there.
One final thought. One thing we were intentional about with this album, with every song, was making sure we sang the name of Jesus. For some reason, a lot of times we forget to do that as writers and worship leaders, but that's definitely a part of the magic on this album. You know, Jesus said, "If I be lifted up, I'll draw all men to me." And so we decided to just go for it and really, really sing the name on this one, and I think it made a difference.
Awesome.
So, yeah, absolutely.
That's a great note to finish up this blab with. So yeah, thanks you guys.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Good times.